It is Sunday afternoon, but yes, it is still time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, the flagship show here at E2C Network. We got a lot of fun stuff coming your way for episode 66. We're going to preview Auburn baseball, talk about the Auburn football coaching staff, a little Auburn potpourri coming your way. All that coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family, and of course, welcome to our E2C Network family as well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching live and if you're on the replay, we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us, being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Right at the top, yes, I know we are doing this on a Sunday afternoon. There's a certain big game about to happen the evening of our record time, and we figured no one would give a flying flip about it during this time. So we will adjust accordingly today. If you're catching this on the replay and you're like, oh, I missed it at 9 o'clock. We will always still be at 9, barring circumstances like this on Sunday evenings. With that being said, I'm your host, Kyle. That be Austin. Thanks for hanging out with us. Austin, what's up?
What's up? Yep. Glad to be here on a little earlier. And looking forward to it's very strange. Not used to this. But looking forward for plenty to discuss. I think softball is postponed the rest of the day, so we're really not missing, or canceled probably. Really not missing much the rest of the day.
It's one of the things of spring sports being outside is the continual battle of rain, weather, lightning. And, you know, it always seems to be this way these days. I was talking to Jessica, my wife, in the car on the way back from church today. I was like, why can't it just rain in the middle of the week? People care the least about the midweek games anyway, the series or especially for softball, the big tournaments and showcases, whatever you want to categorize them at. Those are what people really gear up for, are off work for anyway. So could we just have a little conversation with God and say, hey, listen, can we just move the timeline of the rain over to the midweek, and then, let's leave the weekends open for fun and sun, right?
I'm sure that'd be high on his priority list at the moment.
Not got 1,000 other things going on in the universe, so we'll take it up there. Probably not going to get much leeway there. You never know, right? There's power in prayer, I guess.
That's right.
So we will get started with the show here in just a few minutes. If you guys have any comments or questions, we'd love to take any of those. I will hang around a little bit after the show, the live recording part, to hang out too. If you guys want to, of course, as always, smash the like button and let us know that you are here. So the weather's been pretty bad down there, huh? For you guys?
The weather, it is. I can hear the thunder. It has been rolling in.
Sorry, you knew that was coming.
I didn't know that was coming. It has been thundering for about an hour and raining before then. So I know right as we got on, I think right before we got on, I think softball canceled the game they were in and has canceled the rest of the games tonight. So it's been yucky all day here. I think it'll be yucky the next couple of days.
Yeah, I just get this feel that this is going to be a season that is just battling weather all year. And that does that every single year to some degree. But I just get the sense that this is going to be a problem. And, there's a lot of timeline stuff that has to be adjusted for a lot of these teams because they've got to get some of these games. They can't cancel everything. They can't postpone everyone. You might, if it gets really bad, you might even see having to schedule some more midweek games to just kind of get your, I don't want to say quota, but requirements in to participate in these things, because I would imagine they've got to have a certain amount played. So you might see more regional teams and things like that. I'm just speculating and just being a pessimist because I absolutely hate rain. I get so angry when it rains. It's not even funny. I cannot stand it. Is that
old man shouts at clouds?
You're not far off from me. You don't get that way?
I do. I don't know. I think I don't like it. It's not convenient. It doesn't bother me a ton. Sometimes look, if we weren't recording right now and this was a Sunday afternoon like it is with the rain, it's a good chance I'm napping right now while the boys are napping.
I'm going to say something here. It's hot take. And everybody just understand. I understand what I'm saying. I fully acknowledge I'm coherent. I know what I'm about to say.
This is already a very unscheduled recording. We're already all over the place.
We are. I prefer droughts to rain. Like
Oh gosh.
I celebrate droughts. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just because I that means it's
Mm,
sunny. That
uh-uh.
means there's no mushiness in the ground. There's less humidity
It's
because it's
just
all
dry.
exactly.
No,
I
it's too dry.
I'm not saying I'm wishing for droughts, but I am happier when there are droughts because I just hate rain. I hate storms because it ruins Auburn sports. It ruins my happiness. I love to look outside my windows and see the sun shining. And like today and all weekend, all it's been is just overcast.
Yeah, but like droughts, like the
I
sun.
said what I
I
said.
don't know.
I said what I said, and I stand by
Let
it.
me ask you something. Do you like the smell of rain on like the road? You know what I mean when I say
It's
that?
pretty. It's not bad. It's not bad.
That's
Yeah.
like a core smell for me. I don't mind the rain. I really don't mind the rain. Now, when it's very inconvenient and like it messes stuff up that I have planned, then yeah, but
But it always does that, and that's my
well,
point. Is like,
not always. I don't always have stuff planned.
well, I do, and maybe that's my
You
own
do.
fault.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
That's my fault for being so busy and have so
sure.
many plans
You're
outside. I
a
don't
popular
know.
guy.
No. Uh, that's probably would solve my problem of having filling myself up with too much things to do. If I was more popular, if I had more friends, and here I sit on a podcast with you every week. Oh,
Every
that's tough.
single week.
Every single week. All right. Enough about rain. Enough about Kyle being a loner in my sad life. Let's get into the Auburn experience. You can start singing if you want to.
Lonely.
I'm so lonely. This is time to start the recording before this goes off any more than it has. This is episode 66. Like I said at the start of the show, we're going to be doing 3 30-minute-ish episodes, 10-minute-ish episodes, and a 30-minute-ish show. And we'll talk some Auburn baseball preview in our second half. The first half, we'll talk about the football coaching staff hopefully being complete. And then we'll start off as we normally do with a little bit of Auburn potpourri. And hang around after the show. We'll do some Q&A sessions with me at the end of this. So, Austin, if you're ready, we will get this thing started.
Let's do it.
In 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, qualify it in a variety of different times, places, people, experiences. But at its heart, at its core, the Auburn experience is all about its sports, the culture, and of course, the Auburn family. Because it's about family. You got to have some hosts from the Auburn family here. I'm your host in chair number 1, Mr. Kyle Loomis, and in chair number 2, Mr. Austin Scott, back again for episode 66. Austin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, War Eagle Kyle. Happy Sunday, February 11th to you. I'm glad we are the biggest thing going on in the world tonight, this afternoon. Nothing else is happening, right?
Nothing else is happening in this gosh dang world. I mean, there's not anything about something Swifty. There's no Kelsey's. Nothing like that's going on tonight. Nothing like that caused us to have to do a recording earlier than we normally would, which has also prompted very unusual conversations pre-show.
Let the record reflect you brought her up first.
I did. And
you brought her up first.
Here's what was going to happen. It was going to come up. I might as well get ahead of the pass and go ahead and get my Swifty quota in for the day. Cause I feel like if you're doing a media content thing, podcast show, whatever, TV show, you've got to somehow work Taylor Swift into it. So I have done my part and it's done. That's it. That's it for me. Maybe.
Well, we've met our quota. Hopefully all the hits and the target ads will hear you say Swift,
Swifty,
and we'll get boosted.
Hopefully so. I don't know that's exactly how it works, but maybe so. By the way, since we are doing this before the Super Bowl, by the way, if you're in the future, whoever won, congratulations, I guess. Maybe there will be screaming and wailing and national teeth from Swifty fans. There goes my second reference. By the time you hear this, maybe not. I do want to again remind people that at least in terms of being part of their team, Prince Tega Wanna-Go Jr. is part of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's still in the reserve, so I guess that's a little bit iffy. But we gave him a shout out. I think last 2 episodes ago, something like that. Austin,
and you said you wanted him to lose, but yeah,
I am not rooting against him. I
think you were.
I'm not rooting against him. I am rooting for the sanity of America and this obsession over this individual who I will not say again because I've already met my quota and exceeded
You
it.
could say there's bad blood between you and Prince
Oh
Tangawanaga
no,
Jr.
no, don't do this. Oh no. Okay, before there's further bad blood between you and me because of this, let's do Auburn potpourri and try not to work that person's name further into the show. Let's start with the happiness. And there is actually a lot of good stuff this week to talk about, believe it or not. I'm going to start us off with gymnastics and what was the end cap on the weekday of dominating the University of Alabama. And Alabama came in to Neville Arena for a ranked, I believe they were like 7, we're 14, somewhere in that range. I could be off a little bit, but basically top 10 versus top 15, somewhere in that range. And, look, it was probably going to be competitive the whole way. But most people would say that this Auburn team is still working through some injuries, is trying to find their footing still this season after losing a lot of star power. Most people would have said, hey, Alabama's probably going to take this one by the end of it, even if Auburn looks competitive. But no, from the get-go, they come out from the very start and set the tone and keep the tone and take down the mighty Alabama Crimson Tide for their biggest win of the season. Were you at the match this week?
I was not at the match this week. I had some work commitments I had to be at. I knew that didn't sound right when it came off my tongue. No, I was not at the meet. My wife and I were keeping up with it, and it was, of course, that's the first one we miss, and it happens to be the best one. But really proud of those girls. I mean, absolutely stunning performances all the way around.
Right.
From each apparatus, and then just ending it well on floor for a bunch of freshmen have really good performances. A bunch of these gymnasts have career highs. That's what you need in those kind of those rivalry games, especially, but against elite gymnastics teams like we see across the SEC all year long. So really happy for them, that program. That's a really good step for them this year. And it's all about those scores. I want to remind people that, it's not really about the wins and losses. Your scores just need to be continually improving and evening out. But hey, it always feels good to be able to say we beat Alabama, and we're happy about that. Alabama's, in Neville Arena, they're starting to feel it. It's struggling in there, and they're getting a feeling all too well that they really shouldn't get, or that they should get when it's at home.
Yeah, there's been probably a little too much reverse rammer jammers for their liking happening this week.
Fine by me.
It's been great. AJ, one of our No Huddle co-hosts, the football show here at E2C Network, he was able to attend. He actually invited me to come with him. I was just not able to attend, which I now instantly regret. And it feels like every time I say no to a ticket to something, I always regret it. So you would think I would learn, just say yes and figure out the logistics of everything else you got going on later. I could have just driven back in the middle of the night to, because that was a late one, I believe.
I did my part. And are you talking about gymnastics?
Gymnastics, sorry, yes.
Well, actually, both. I could count both. I did my part like our viewers requested, and I did not go to the basketball game. I did not go to the gymnastics meet, and look at what happened.
Well, but you are exonerated in a sense after what happened with basketball at Florida, and we did have some people ask, yeah, was Austin there? And I said, look, I don't even know that Austin would have mattered in that game. Since we're already there, it's already segued. It's kind of a quick basketball update. We'll try to, it's kind of working out this way that every 2 weeks or so, we'll do like a major update on basketball, which I think after what's coming this week, we will definitely need a big debrief after that. Hopefully lots of good debriefs. The highs and the lows continue sometimes for this program. A frustrating, probably worst loss of the season at Florida, continuing a streak down there. But let's not focus there, Austin. Let's not focus on the things that just don't make sense. Let's focus on the things that continually make sense. And that's singing more rammer jammer, reverse rammer jammer at Alabama in Neville Arena. Ranked matchup, Wednesday evening. All the eyes of the college basketball world probably were focused on that game that night. It drew a big audience, I'm sure, as it was in the arena. And the Tigers not just beat the Tide, just, I won't say embarrass, but just handled them. Like, I mean, that's really what it is. Auburn is the better team, and it's not even it's not even close at this point in my view.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people that want to say differently after this past weekend, and the wins and losses is what it is. But I think you saw how good this team is when they're on,
Right.
and by winning by double digits handedly at home, and then you look at when they lost to the same team by 4 on the road. I think you can say that evens out, but I'm not sure it does. And when you look at the quality of the shots taken and the quality of how these offenses and defenses are playing, I'm giving the hand to Auburn. I know that we're biased. I know that we're going to look through orange and blue glasses,
Right.
but the Auburn looks better, and I get that Alabama can put up 100 plus at any given point, but I don't think that these two teams are that far off from each other. But I
No.
think you have to give Auburn the edge right now because of the way they've played against them, and taking both the matchups into perspective.
Right.
The good thing is we all saw Auburn, like you said, handle Alabama with the lights on, and everything was okay. Everybody saw it the entire time, and nothing was in the dark.
Oh man, listen, there was a lot less jokes with that than I thought there would be, but
Mm-hmm.
it was still good stuff. I think unfortunately Nate Oates created more controversy
He did.
to focus on, and maybe that was his strategy the whole time. It's
Well,
like
the guy has no problem putting his foot in his mouth. He
would you say he's at the wrong place, says the wrong thing at the wrong place at the wrong time?
I would 100% say that, and I
All
think
right.
that he's got a reputation of having just saying the wrong things, and whether he means to or not. I have my own opinions about something. I sometimes I don't think he means to, but I, he just I don't think he quite has figured out the PR side of the coaching world.
I think is especially when it comes to the Auburn Alabama dynamic, that whole thing was a little overblown, that he meant some slight at Auburn. But
Right.
I think he realized kind of what he said
Yeah.
as he was doing it and just went with it and knew he was going to get some interest in that as well. He's a smart enough guy to know what he was saying and continued with it. He could have shifted gears a little
Sure.
bit, and you could almost see that he's like, do I continue with this? I'm just going to continue with it and try to make it sound okay. Either way, it worked out because that was the most fun high school gym that I've ever seen in my life, and
Absolutely.
sure made a difference in that game. So that's the good of this week. Bad, Florida, Alabama, really good, reverse, rammer, jammer, all the place. Real quick, we did do a softball preview last week. If you guys would like to go back and kind of hear that, make sure you do that. It was one of our main segments. They got started this week, and always good to see them back out there at Jane B. Moore Field. More roar, as I tried to say last week, and you gave me nothing on that name. I know it's a mouthful and it's hard to roll off the tongue. The big story really is rain, and we lamented about that pre-show a lot, but you're going to hear that a lot during spring sports. But really excited to have them actually back out there, something extra that we're going to be able to follow and have to keep up with. This is going to be a very busy time for us.
Oh, it's going to be really busy, and as we were talking pre-show, the weather, I think, is going to be, as it can be every year, a little difficult for them this year. I think it's just we're in for a rainy season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, this weekend is probably a mirror of things that might be coming the rest of the year. So you just got to shake it off, and you got to keep playing, and hope things end up going okay for the rest of the year.
Did you do it? I just think you did.
I'm up to 4.
Listen, you need to stop it right now.
I'm up to 4.
You need to stop it right now. I will find a way to come through this virtual thing that we're on right now and come get you. I know where you live, sir. We've done a live event together. So
I'm going to set a record. I'm up to 4.
Here we go, folks. All right, that's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri before he gets another one in. Let's move forward in the show into our main topics this evening. Auburn football's coaching staff complete? Question mark. I think it is. We'll talk about that. And we'll look at an Auburn baseball preview. But before we do all of that, let's talk about our friends at Magic Mind. And you've heard us talking about them a lot lately. And look, folks, I know that you're going to be tired after staying up for Super Bowl, football, the commercials, all the things. You're going to need some energy. You're going to need some focus. Where can you get that from? Our friends at Magic Mind. You can obviously have a lot of other alternatives out there, those great energy shots and drinks and things like that. But let's be honest, a lot of them aren't that great for you health-wise. Magic Mind is the difference there. This is a product that will be able to give you that energy, that focus that you're looking for without some of those bad side effects out there. This is just a healthier overall option to help elevate your mental health and defeat burnout. Tried it myself. I can say that their claim is true there. It'll help you be more productive, gives you a more prolonged, healthy, natural way to have that energy and focus. Visit magicmind.com/Auburn and use our code Auburn, AUBURN, for 56% off of a subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. I've told you about my family friend before that has tried it themselves, who has to deal with ADHD and all that comes with that. And he even said that this alternative that he had tried was a major difference for him in terms of trying to find something that didn't aggravate some of his symptoms. So that's just another testimony right there in and of itself. Again, visit magicmind.com/Auburn and use the code Auburn for 56% off a subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Let's start off our main topics this evening, Austin, by talking about some football. It is the off season, and we always got to find ways to talk about the lifeblood of any, especially Southeastern Conference school, but most colleges these days is a football team. Everything else has got to get its attention, and that's what we're about here at the Auburn Experience. But we still got to talk about football. But what do we talk about? We're not in spring ball yet. Hey, by the way, did you remember that this week was National Signing Day?
After it happened, like that night, I was like, oh yeah, that was today.
It finally happened. I kept saying they're trying to hang on to early signing day still being in February and act like that's still going to be a thing, and it finally died. Like
it's dead.
It's dead. The early signing day is now the signing day. So we'll see if that continues, but that just kind of blew my mind this week. That's not what we're talking about, though. One of the biggest storylines in the offseason has been coaching turnover for Coach Hugh Freeze here at Auburn in his second year. Some of that we saw coming. Some of that was maybe some shocking things that we've covered in great detail on several previous episodes. Make sure you go check out that for thoughts here. But the staff is now complete. As far as we know, it can tell at this point. It doesn't seem like any other promotions or opportunities are going to come available as of this point, especially with the latest one, Jeremy Garrett getting opportunity to go to the pros, our defensive line coach, and then having the opportunity to elevate Vontrell King Williams to not defensive tackles coach, but defensive line coach, or defensive. I did it backwards. Defensive line coach.
Correct. Yeah.
But he's going to be defensive tackles coach. So the staff is complete. It looks like.
Again.
How do you feel? Like, I mean, do you think it's done?
I think we're done here. We need to be done here. I think that was probably one they felt like we were done with, and then Jeremy Garrett gets an opportunity that we talked about last week that he can't really pass up.
Right.
He's from the NFL. It makes total sense for him to take that opportunity again. So congratulations to him again, and looking forward to seeing how well he does. But this was a name that we started hearing closer to when it finally was announced or reported. And a guy who's really well liked for this team, on this team, by the players, by the other coaches and analysts. He was a defensive line coach with Hugh Freeze at Liberty. Yeah, I think that's so. Right. And then came as an analyst. So I'm really happy for him. He's getting that opportunity. It's not just like it's a bump up from an analyst and his first time coaching. He's had experience in this before and done well on the levels he's been on. And I think that this was a really good move to continue, as we've talked about so many times, the culture that Hugh Freeze wants to instill. And he's familiar with Vontrell. The player, he's been around a lot of the players for a long time, and they really like him. So I'm really happy for him. I really hope it works out well for Auburn. I think it will. But this is a exciting move for him, and I think it's going to be an exciting move for Auburn.
I think it's important when it's appropriate to promote from within when you can, not just for the sake of doing that because it feels good, because we're all family here and that's what you do, is nepotism and all that kind of stuff. But when it makes sense, this is a guy that has already coached in a similar position previously at a different institution, at a different level, truly SEC compared to, I think, their conference.
They were independent at that time. Yeah.
Independent at that time, not SEC level. Come over here, cut your teeth, wait for your time, and here you are in an SEC position as a defensive tackles coach. And I would imagine over time, who knows what's going to happen with the staff, maybe being elevated to the complete defensive line coach. Not that that's less of anything what he's in now. It's just the way this sets up with the personnel that you currently have. Speaking of, let me give you the defensive personnel. We'll start there to kind of paint the picture of what this staff is going to look like. We have talked about a lot of these names, a lot of references to previous shows here. So you guys should make sure you go back and check out some previous episodes to this point. DJ Durkin's your new defensive coordinator. He will coach the linebacker group officially. Charles Kelly, your co-defensive coordinator, coaching the safeties. Josh Aldridge moves from linebacker coach to defensive edge. That just sounds like a cool name. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. Defensive edge coach. Like that sounds intense. So happy for him too, to get I don't want to call it a different opportunity, but something new for him as well. Then you got Vontrell King-Williams, defensive tackles coach. And I like to me, it would have been cool to maybe call him defensive interior defensive coach or something like that. I don't know if that's too much. And then Wesley McGriff in his latest return trip to Auburn, if he ever left at all, cornerbacks coach. So that is your defensive staff. Your thoughts? What do you think about this group?
I think it's a good group. You know, it's been a long time that this group has kind of finally come together. I don't think that we thought it would take this long, and now that it has, you look at it as a whole. I know a lot of people wanted, that defensive line spot to have someone really SEC experience. There were some big names going out there, but I think when you look at this group as a whole, there's a lot of promise with it. This is a group that's going to have to coach really well next season for Auburn to be excited, or for not to be excited. We are excited for Auburn to be good on that side of the ball. Yep. But there's a lot to work with. You've brought in a lot of guys who have experience, a lot of guys who have been at Auburn before and who want to be at Auburn, and also some young guys that'll help you on the recruiting trail and learn from those older guys who've been here. I think that it excites me the most to see how the experience of Charles Kelly and Wesley McGriff can mesh with the Vontrell King-Williams and the Josh Aldridges, and there's guys at different points in their career who are now kind of coming together, kind of make this defense work.
I like that you pointed it out that way. You've got a mix of experience, bigger names, people that are more familiar with, and then you've got the up and comers. And to me, that's a good sign of a healthy coaching staff. Now, look, people are going to get more opportunities. They're going to leave. If you're Wesley McGriff, you're going to come back again. Maybe, I don't know. Look, I just like some of the makeup of, especially this defensive side of the ball, the more I look at it. Controversies already discussed 1,000 times here on this show, on more live streams with DJ Dirk. We acknowledge all of that. But what you can't ignore is the pedigree, the experience, the recruiting, the reputation for what they can do as coaches that's out there. To me, I didn't dislike the makeup of our former defensive staff under Hugh Freeze, but I think I'm looking at an upgrade here, frankly, in what I see right here. And some change, yes, like we just talked about, because of somebody getting promoted, somebody leaving, all that stuff. Titles have changed in a sense, but I don't even look at Josh Aldridge as much of a change, because when you're a linebacker coach, you probably have a little bit of say in the edge position anyway. To me, that's more of a natural kind of flow of things than anything else. So I'm happy with the defensive staff. Offensive staff, we've talked about them probably not as much as of late, because that kind of got figured out very quickly, or at least quicker than most thought it would. Derek Nix, your new offensive coordinator, running backs coach. And please, Austin, tell me I'm going to pronounce this right. You can laugh if you want. Ben Agamoa. Am I right?
Oh, I hope so.
I believe it's Agamoa.
That's how I would have gone with it.
And I've tried thousands of times. So Coach Ben, I'm sorry if I continue to mispronounce it, but I think I got it right. Tight ends coach, as he has been, so no changes there. Kent Austin elevated, another analyst elevated up to a positional coach, quarterbacks coach. Marcus Davis, we know, who has brought in arguably one of the best wide receiver recruiting groups coming up this year. And then, of course, Jake Thornton. So not a lot of change there other than a new offensive coordinator, running backs coach, and a promotion for a quarterback coach position. So I know it's not as much to discuss there, but since we haven't talked about them recently, your thoughts on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, I think with the offensive side of the ball and Hugh Freeze being an offensive guy, that was the staff that really needed to all be in line with him the most. And I'm not saying that Philip Montgomery wasn't. I'm not saying that Cadillac wasn't. But I think that this group, when you look at it as a whole, they're all guys, besides Marcus Davis, who he's brought in, they're all guys he's coached with before that know him, know what he wants offensively. There should not be any questions about what the goal is, what the terminology is. They're all going to be on the same page. And I think that's big. I really think that was probably a big point. I think Philip Montgomery, we all had an idea and a thought of how we thought that would go, that they would work together and mesh. I'm not saying they didn't mesh. I'm not saying there was any animosity there. I'm just saying sometimes, who you're familiar with, not a good fit, and who you're familiar with is what, you're more interested in. I think that's where we ended up with Derek Nix and Kent Austin being quarterback's coach. I don't really see any way there is a miscommunication with this offensive staff. They're going to know what they do. It might not always work, but they're going to know what they want to do and how to do it. I think that's a big deal you got to have in today's coaching world.
And, one of the big storylines is always going to be, is Hugh Freeze calling the plays?
Right.
And my discussion with people was when this is brought up a lot. I said, look, I would be stupid to ignore the fact that he saw the lack of production offensively last year and is not going to take a more heavy-handed approach in that. But I'm also think for people that don't think Derek Nix is being brought in to actually be the offensive coordinator, even if it's partially at first and then given the reins over as that comes along, he's the offensive coordinator, folks. He is going to be given the opportunity. The head coach has oversight over everything, and Hugh's forte is offense. So you would definitely want him to be invested, want him to be involved, especially in, I won't say a younger, Derek Nix is not young, but he is
young in his career. Yeah,
exactly. In terms of having, you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Not when we compare him to a DJ Durkin, to a Wesley McGriff, they've been in those positions that they've been in for a long, long time. So this staff on the offensive side of the ball reflects Hugh, and then the defensive side of the ball has got experience and some big power hitters in a lot of different areas. So when you encompass all this together, I'm really excited. And I honestly walked into the change for the staff very cautious, trying to kind of take it in stride, not overreact social media over things, and just kind of think about this. The more I look at it, the more excited I am to see this identity begin to shape this year, folks. Let me say that again.
That's right.
Begin, not it's instant gonna work, but the beginning of moving forward as a program. So we are happy with this new staff assembled, and we'll continue to watch them very, very closely as we get closer and closer to the season. And plenty of other topics will be coming up as we get closer to spring ball. Big topic number 2 tonight. It is, of course, as we talked about last week, stickball season, diamond sports season, whatever your nickname that you want to give. We did a softball preview, excited to have them back out there at Jane B. Moore. But let's be honest, America's pastime has always been and will always be baseball. Somebody cue up right now, center field by, I can't remember the artist's name, and just, I've got it ringing in my head right now. Na, 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 na,
there we
center
go.
field. So I'm excited. Baseball season is back. I have had my love for Auburn baseball, especially since the pandemic, reignited in ways that I can't even describe. And a lot of that has to do with what Butch Thompson has been putting out there on the field. I think this season is going to probably surprise folks again in terms of what they might be able to accomplish. So let's just start there before we talk about schedules, before we talk about, I mean, you can get into whatever you want to, Austin, but just your thoughts kind of starting our preview discussion of Auburn baseball.
Well, first and foremost, I'm ready for it. I've been waiting on baseball season. I feel like every year I wait on baseball season for when it ends, and from the minute it comes back. I love baseball. I love Auburn baseball. I love the Atlanta Braves. It is, so much time. It is a long season, both in college and pros, that just takes up a lot of time, and I feel like it's on everyone's mind if you're a baseball fan. for a long time. So I'm super excited about baseball. In respect to Auburn, I've been excited about baseball every year Butch Thompson's been here. We have talked about many times on this show how big of Butch Thompson fans we are, on and off the field, I'll add. And I think that he has another team here that is exciting. There's got to be a lot of pieces that are going to have to come together. But he's brought in a great transfer class. He's brought in another great recruiting class. And this team, as in bringing back returners and stars that should have tons of experience playing in Plainsman Park. It's going to be a fun year. I really think that this team is focused. This team is ready to, finish the end game in Omaha as they're used to, or as they expect to.
Right.
And I think that's the expectation in Auburn now, but also the expectation of Butch Thompson, even though we might go through some hills and valleys and fans might get a little, worried time in there.
We don't. Auburn fans don't ever overreact to anything.
Never. But Butch Thompson's proved, and he has proved that he should have your trust and that he knows what he's doing. I think he does, and I'm really excited for this season for sure.
Yeah, if there's one coach on the staff that you look foolish if you question at this point,
absolutely.
I would say you look foolish if you question Bruce Pearl at this point. But if you're going to question Butch Thompson with what he's putting together, not just in a singular season, but year by year, enhancements, the interest he's garnering, the respect that he's continuing to gain throughout his career, but even here at Auburn, you just look foolish. So do not question Butch Thompson at this point in his career. We could go to 1,000 different ways. Let's maybe focus on roster coaches real quick. The main things to note is that we have a brand new pitching coach this year. Obviously did not go exactly how we wanted with Coach Schoenrock. But we are going to have Everett Tieford joining us this year as the pitching coach. Gabe Gross, Carl Nonamaker, and of course, Butch Thompson making up the rest of your main coaching staff. There's plenty of other support staff to talk about too, but we won't do that for sake of time. Any familiarity with Everett Tieford or just thoughts about, transitioning in the pitching staff?
I think it's cool that we got a guy from the big leagues, formerly the Chicago White Sox. I have met him once through another way of life, but I'm excited. I think he's a really nice guy. I think his family fits in Auburn well, but brings a lot of experience from the pros and from his way of life. We've just got done talking about with Hugh Freeze and the offensive side of the football. Mm-hmm. Butch Thompson is a pitching guy. And so for him to bring Everett Tieford in, I think that's going to align, their way of thinking and pitching, but also with him having been in different places and learned from different people. I hope he brings in some different techniques and things that help this Auburn pitching staff, because they have a really good chance to be really good. And so I'm looking forward to his coaching and how he works with our guys.
If you're Everett Tieford, you walk into Auburn, not only excited to be here because you see the way the program's trending and obviously the investments that are being made, but you see one Joseph Gonzalez is back.
Yeah,
boy, if I'm a pitching coach and I see Joseph is back there ready to headline my pitching group rotation in the weekend, I am stoked. I know we all had high hopes that Joseph was going to be back next year. He tried his hardest, worked for it. There were times that it looked like he didn't happen. And we're going to hope that he has had a lot of success in really healing up this offseason and through the majority of last season. Joseph Gonzalez is back, Austin. How excited are you?
Pumped. I think Joseph Gonzalez has had high expectations put on him and probably for himself for the last 2 seasons. Injury got in the way of that. Yep. I think we're all really hoping that he can get back to form, more than anything, just stay healthy for this year. Because him healthy, even if he's not first round elite talent, is very good news for this Auburn pitching staff and this team. I really just want to see him, pitching a lot of games this year. However that looks and however it works for Auburn, him being on the mound is good news. And so, like you said, Everett Tieford has to be pumped to be able to come into his first season with a stud like that. And I'm really hoping that he's healthy and ready to go. We need him. And if he is, you better watch out. It's going to be super exciting.
Plenty of other returning names in the pitching staff. Yep. Chase Alsop, I would suspect, will have a play for us, part of that rotation as well. Connor Copeland, John Armstrong. and Will Cannon is back, and then plenty of other new names too. So if you're wondering, like, who do I know from this team, that's or from last year's team, those are going to be some pitching names as well. You look on the fielder side, the batting side of things, one name comes right to the top, phenom of last year, and everybody's favorite Irishman, Ike Irish. He's not, I don't know if he's Irish, but the luck of the Irish jokes just write themselves, but there's not luck when it comes in this kid. He just is good.
Stud.
And it looks like this year he is at least going to have a very strong chance to be the starting catcher for most of the season. Obviously, Carter Wright's going to have a say at that as well. And excited to watch what his opportunities will become too. You're just glad to have players like an Ike Irish who can play multiple positions.
Yep.
And so if we find out that, Carter's better suited to be the nightly catcher for most games, then we know we can put Ike Irish wherever we need to. And we're not going to really see a drop off anyway, but I expect him to be the catcher. Thoughts on his first season, what you expect this next season for him?
Yeah. I mean, the kid was an absolute, not shock, but a nice surprise to see. I think people had expectations for him, but how, freshmen adjusting to the SEC schedule, adjusting to Auburn, you always wonder how that's going to go. Ike Irish handled it just about as well as you could, and did really well in that DH role. I'm very interested to see how it can go with him playing a position, because obviously, and especially in catcher, that can take a wear on your body. How is that? Does it adjust, or does it mess with his stats at all? Does he, is that a more of a transition for him? But also, I think, like you were saying, you have to look at how that helps with the flexibility and what Butch Thompson can do to this lineup. Like, if we want Ike Irish to catch and primarily catch, well, we also have Carter Wright, and Ike Irish can get a day off and just DH like he's done like he did most of last year. So I love the flexibility of the kid, and his talent is off the charts. I'm really looking forward to seeing his swing. I think his swing is one of the most pretty ones we have. It's gorgeous. I'm really excited about his progression. Hopefully he takes it another step in his sophomore season.
Yep. Excited to see what his trajectory, as high as it was and as quickly as it came up at the start of last year, what it will be like this season. And a lot of pressure being lumped on the kid too. Let's acknowledge that. I mean, he set the bar high, and it's going to be, a chore to get back up to that level to start off the season and maintain it. So there's good and bad that comes with having the start that he did. Other big names to remember, the ones that you'll be familiar with, Cooper McMurray, Chris Stanfield. And I think the kids these days say you're a stan of somebody if you're a big fan. I am a stan of Stanfield. Yes, gosh. I said it. That's said what I said.
Show up on the E2C Twitter a couple times. I have a feeling
it will. I am a stan of Stanfield. Plenty of other names there. And, as you mentioned too, there's been some transfers brought in that you'll want to pay attention to as well. Derek Fabian, Javon Hernandez is one that I keep hearing a lot about. And look, we don't have time to go through the entire staff, and we're not trying to spend our entire time focusing on just a couple of different people, but it's a big baseball squad, and we will get to know all of them very well the rest of the season.
Kyle, I mean, I know we're not focused on everybody, but you've forgotten one of the best.
Who did I forget?
Big Bat Bobby.
Listen, I take my podcast card right.
Bobby.
Take my podcast card right now. What am I even doing on the show by not even bringing up Bobby Barrels?
Bobby Barrels. Which one do you like more? Big Bobby Barrels.
I
knew you did.
I'm a Bobby Barrels guy all the way.
I knew you were trouble.
What's wrong with Bobby Barrels?
That's okay. What's
wrong with it? No, give that's rolls.
It's fine. It does roll off, but Big Bat Bobby. I love saying that.
Bobby Barrels. So what we need to have happen now is one side. So let's say third base side, it starts chanting Barrels, Big Bat. I don't know. That doesn't really work. But anyway, you get my drift, right? Let's just start like having a contest in the stands at Plainsman every single game.
Bat Bobby
Barrels. We got it. I'll
go on one side and you go on the other.
Hey, listen, don't think I won't do it.
Oh, I believe you. But it's like I'm still in shock that we got him back. That's a guy who somehow did not get drafted, and who did not see enough major league teams did not see him as wanting them part of their roster, and Auburn lucked out by getting him back, and I'm pumped. I think and we talk a lot. We all know how good Big Bat Bobby / Bobby Barrels can be at the plate and in the field. to have him back as a leader for this team is going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Bobby Pearson Plainsman Park again.
Thank you for correcting me and my mistakes on this show that continually come up every single week.
I do what I can.
You do. That's why you're here. That is what, and also ruining, Auburn's basketball games when you attend them. But,
well, you and I, Kyle, we help each other. You could say that you belong with me. That's all. Where you and I are just together.
Okay. Together no. Finally, before he does another reference, just real quick, very fast, final pieces of preview. We've talked about them again on previous episodes. The additions, the Hall of Fame Club, the surprise addition to the center field viewing for students.
We still don't know what that is.
We still don't know
specifically.
We will find out very shortly here, season starting. So all of that's going to be on full display here very shortly. We don't have a lot of time to go through the schedule like maybe we want to, but let's just take a real quick look through it to wind down our preview, starting off with Eastern Kentucky series this weekend, weather permitting, obviously, which will be the thing throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, the biggest probably non-conference thing to pay attention to is going to be down in Jacksonville. I think it's the Jacks College Classic, something like that. Yeah. Iowa, Wichita State, Virginia. That's going to be where Auburn has an opportunity to make some noise on the national stage. You're going to have UConn, Air Force, Austin Peay come in. And then, folks, we are getting started on the road in SEC play at Vanderbilt.
Ooh.
Can I just say, folks, we know that SEC competition in football is hard. We also know that it's difficult in basketball, as we're finding out in very unfortunate ways every day. SEC baseball is the biggest meat grinder that I have ever seen in my life. Yep. And you're starting at Vanderbilt. We don't know the official rankings yet. There have been some that have been released, but Auburn hasn't even acknowledged them on their page yet. So
they'll be top 3.
Top 3. I mean, what a way to start. So as you're looking at the schedule, what's top of your mind for you when you look at the non-conference, the SEC schedule, whatever?
Yeah, well, it's always got to be the SEC slate, right? Like that's where, there's certain minimums to even meet if you want to host a regional.
Right.
You got to have a winning record in the SEC, even if it's by 1 or 2 games. If it's that close, I think that nationwide, and when the NCAA and whoever else decides who gets the regionals and where you go in certain ways, they're not stupid.
Right.
Sometimes they know the SEC.
Softball they are.
The NCAA, what? Another discussion for another time.
No.
Everyone's aware that the SEC in baseball is a whole other animal, and it is. You cannot look at it and compare apples to oranges when you look at another conference and someone else's schedule, even though it might be better. Who have they played? Those are discussions that happen year round, no matter what the sport. Like Kyle was saying, SEC baseball is on another planet when it comes to it. So I think you have to look at that, and you have to go, if we can be competitive in every game, but also win our fair share and steal some on the road, then you have to feel good about this team hosting another regional. I think that's, has to be a goal, is hosting a regional, and setting correcting what happened last year and setting yourself up to be able to move on to a super regional or host a super regional. So it's going to be hard. It always is. But as we said, we started this topic, and as we talk about every time Auburn baseball comes up, Butch Thompson knows what it takes. He knows how to lead this team. A lot of this team knows what it takes. After all of last year and the highs and lows and the streak they went on, they know what it has to happen in order for them to be good and to get back to where they were and correct that postseason time. So this team's ready. This team has the potential, and they can do it. I'm really excited to see how it all comes together.
2 series that I want to call your attention to round out our discussion for conference play. Tennessee.
Yeah.
8A weekend, folks. It's going to be a good A-Day. I have faith that we're not going to get a monsoon. I believe.
Don't even say that.
I ruined it. I know.
That.
I'm turning into you attending basketball games.
You are.
Tennessee, and then the way it should always be to end off every single season, every sport. Alabama in Auburn. That's going to be fun, folks. I know. A little bit of reverse rammer jammer is in order. All right. So whether you are excited about a new coach, new players, returning coaches, new additions, the schedule
Ba-dum.
itself, as he continues to rammer jammer. There's a lot to look forward to in baseball season. We hope that we've done a decent job getting you all ready for that. That's going to do it for episode 66, which has been Rammer Jammer Field, Taylor Swift Field, all of the things in between. That's 3 for me, by the way. We appreciate
I'm way
you.
past that.
You're way past that. We appreciate you guys joining us. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you, sir?
You can find me at Austin G. Scott. Hit me with your Super Bowl picks. Hit me with all the look. Emily and I always do the prop bets, and we don't actually bet anything. We're too poor, but we always do the like the fun things, like what Gatorade color and all that things.
Yeah.
Real quick, Kyle, what's your pick for Gatorade color?
Gatorade color, well, because it's going to be red no matter what, because they're going to give them their team. I'm going to say
it doesn't always match. It doesn't always match.
I'm going to go yellow.
Okay,
yellow.
I said red, so I'm
yellow.
I said red, but yeah, Austin G. Scott. Hopefully, it's a fun one tonight, and hopefully all the commercials are great.
Hopefully so, and hopefully not as much Taylor Swift as we had here on this show. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle. All right, folks, that's the show. We went a little bit longer tonight, but we were having some fun talking about baseball. You guys are always fun. Final thoughts for you, sir?
I did not go to Gainesville. For all you people over
I
here,
know they are ripping you a new one.
I was not there. I actually fell asleep the entire time during the game.
I'll be honest with you. I had it on the TV, but I was doing work during it because I knew from the start. I was like, this isn't going to go well. I could feel it.
We were putting the boys down for a nap, and I turned it on. It was 9-0. And I was like, I'm just going to lay back right here and see what happens. And next thing I know, I woke up, we were down 20.
Yeah, it was not good. And listen, there have been much worse games than that still. And I Clemson tournament game. What was there was another one in a tournament too that was just awful. But anyway, so wasn't fun though. Was not fun.
Nope.
All right, sir. You have a good Super Bowl evening.
All right. Thanks for hang out with being here early with us. War Eagle.
All right, folks, hang around with me if you'd like. I can ask you guys. You guys can ask me anything that you really would like to right now. This is an opportunity we usually have before show a little bit, but after show just to ask anything, Q&A, kind of like a mini Wednesday night, Auburn Family night. But if you guys don't have any major things, I can kind of look back through some of the comments and then we can kind of wrap it up. But before we do that, let me give you what's coming up here at E2C Network this week. Most of you know the drill, but some of you need to be reminded / be made aware of how we do things here. Our scheduled doesn't mean there's not plenty of things to follow, especially here on YouTube. Auburn Family Night this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The basketball game starts at 8:30. We know, but please do join us. We might start a little bit early. You never know, but I will go ahead and officially say start time of 8 p.m. Call-in show. We missed last week because of a basketball game. Excited to get back in the saddle this evening. We have a post-game show right after the basketball game, right after that. So it's just going to be a busy, busy Wednesday for me. Join us there for a post-game show. And you need to also be there for our post-game show after Kentucky, which will be on the road because I am planning to be in Auburn this weekend, folks. Would love to catch up with any of you. They're going to be there. Baseball's in town, softball's in town. Well, actually, no, softball's not in town. Anyway, baseball's in town. I believe some tennis teams are in town. Equestrian, I think. And, of course, the Kentucky game. So I do not have a ticket, but I will be there. You never know what we'll get into, what we'll be covering. If you're a Conquer Club member, obviously, you'll get some extra stuff from us while we're there. Do not miss out. You will miss out on some great stuff if you're not following us on all social media. Following along here. Plenty of content for you this upcoming week. With that, I can do some final Q&A. Corey reminded everybody that is a lacrosse fan for the club team. They broadcast their matches on YouTube. And there's a lot I've noticed recently because I've been getting into following a lot of the club teams of late just to, stay more aware. And I noticed, I think it's the men's volleyball team. They play at the rec center in the nice rec center. They, I think, broadcast either on Instagram or YouTube or one of those things too. So if you're interested in those things, make sure you look them up. We got a prediction for Gatorade bath being orange. I think those are going to be your 3 standard answers: orange, red, and yellow. Blue? Anybody? If you had a blue team, maybe. Please say you won't be going to the home game. I don't know. Let's see here. What else did you guys talk about other than ragging Austin the entire time? We had a good group show up for us this evening, so thank you guys for being here. Well, looks like we have covered the majority of the topics that y'all all wanted to hit this evening. I appreciate you guys bearing with us and being here for a different time. And thank you for adjusting accordingly. For those of you that caught this on the replay, as always, we hate we missed you, but thank you for stopping by and checking in with us. Smash that like button on the way out, folks, and make sure you're subscribed, following everywhere. And I appreciate you being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until we talk to you folks again, thank you for joining us, and War Eagle.